So again, as I mentioned earlier, it is my pleasure to introduce to you Laree Siddiqui, who Laree rather is a coordinator with Howard County Public Schools and is the lead person for the Teacher Externship Initiative. And so I'm going to turn things over to Laree to share with us ultimately what this program is about, how it can support our teachers, and how your business can be a partner in this particular initiative. And so with that, Laree, the screen is yours.
Thank you, Leonardo. I appreciate it. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning to learn a little bit more about the teacher externship. My name is Laree Siddiqui, and I am the coordinator of dual enrollment for Howard County Public Schools. And in my other duties as assigned, I also work closely with the Teacher Externship Initiative. This is a collaboration between Howard County Public Schools and the Bright Minds Foundation, and I'm joined today by outgoing board chair of Bright Minds, Susie Paget, and the community. And the chamber has been such a huge part of creating and implementing the Teacher Externship Initiative. We're so thankful for Leonardo and the chamber's support and partnership in developing and maintaining this really impactful and meaningful professional learning for our teachers. So what is the Teacher Externship Initiative and how did it come about? Dr. Martirano, HCPSS Superintendent, developed his Program Innovation Advisory Board specifically to get input from business and community members to positively impact curriculum so that our curriculum is, carrying over to feed the workforce needs of Howard County and the greater region. And the idea behind the teacher externship is to expose our staff to different workplace opportunities. So essentially over the summer, teachers will take on a role in a particular business. And what the teachers learn there, they then bring back to their classroom and engage with students so that they can start drawing parallels between the curriculum that they're learning and how it's going to be used in the real world. So it really is designed to give our HCPSS teachers an outside of the classroom work experience. I'm sure that you are aware the last few years have been quite exciting for our educators, and our educators really have been looking for innovative professional development opportunities and ways to grow outside of the classroom. And that is really the thought behind this Teacher Externship Initiative, to give them that innovative professional learning opportunities that will then inform future lesson planning. And so you're trying, when you think about taking on a teacher for kind of a finite amount of time, it is 150 hours that can be completed anytime in the weeks between mid-June and late August, right? So basically while Howard County Public Schools are closed for the summer. And so what might a teacher do, right? When joining your organization. So we have, last year was the first year that we did this externship initiative, and we had Booz Allen Hamilton. So we actually had a teacher extern support their summer games program and work with students to access the hiring process at Booz Allen, get them pumped up about job opportunities in those sectors, and then also work on their soft skills using informational interviews. We also had the HCPSS Communications Office, where they developed a comprehensive school-based information and evaluation plan that all schools can benefit from, and then also worked with the Office of Communication and the Budget Office to create a standardized set of rules and processes that took into account the school perspective as well as the central office perspective when managing budgets. We also placed an extern at Making Change, which is a local nonprofit organization focused on financial literacy. And our teacher extern there worked on some assessments, research, and some outreach materials, as well as expansion plans to broaden the scope of the programming of Making Change. And then not on here, but still great, was the Howard Hughes company. Howard Hughes actually brought in an extern, and her role was twofold. The first was that she actually created an HR onboarding manual that is now used for all of their new hires to navigate a large organization like Howard Hughes with multiple offices all over the country, lots of streamlining and communication that was needed there. And in addition, that extern also supported some community-facing events with outreach and planning. So lots of diverse opportunities for our teachers, but certainly an impactful one. And so, a little bit of feedback, and I think, this first bullet point was really important for us, because we want to make sure that this is a value add for the business and for the teachers. And so in their survey responses, all of our host sites strongly agreed that their teacher extern was able to perform a function and or produce a product that was of benefit to their company. And then our participants agreed that this opportunity was the most valuable professional development that they've had access to. So really great feedback about the start of the program. And so, if you're kind of reviewing this information and thinking about, I'd like to do this, or I'd like to host a teacher, but I'm not sure exactly what they can do. I'm happy, and Bright Minds is happy to meet with you and brainstorm potential opportunities for our teachers. And so how does this work? So the responsibilities of the teacher really are to submit a copy of their resume to me, and those resumes were actually due yesterday. So I believe we have 9 candidates seeking externships for this coming summer. The plan is for them to complete a total of 150 hours of work in a business, and that schedule will vary. And then the teacher earns a $6,500 stipend, as well as up to 6 Maryland State Department of Education continuing professional development credits for that related curriculum writing. So CPD credits are typically something our teachers have to pay for in order to maintain their teacher certification, but this is a great way for them to maintain that. And then the responsibilities of our extern host sites. The first is to engage with HCPSS and the Bright Minds Foundation to select the best candidate for their organization, sponsor the stipend for the teachers, provide a meaningful experience for the teachers, and then, of course, receive valuable input from a professional educator that will benefit your business. This is, kind of just a different view of what the process looks like. So right now we're here in that step 1. And so businesses are contacting HCPSS or Bright Minds to express interest in hosting and develop the potential positions. Teachers have submitted resumes to HCPSS for reviews. And then once our businesses have kind of created those potential position descriptions, we will connect with the potential extern candidates that might be a good fit for those roles. We will try to give every business at least 4 candidates. But certainly that depends kind of on the scope of work that the site is looking for. And then step 2, and this takes place, kind of late February through March of 2023. Businesses will interview potential externs, decide on the best candidate. Our teachers will attend the interviews. HCPSS will support that interview process as needed. And then Bright Minds will coordinate the extern sponsorship collection from our host businesses. And then finally, step 3, April 2023 and beyond, the businesses will hire the extern, determine the schedule for the summer. Teachers will coordinate with their host site on summer schedule. HCPSS will continue to support as needed. And then the Bright Minds Foundation actually administers payment of the externship stipend in 2 installments to the teachers. So the teachers get that money directly from Bright Minds. It is a tax-deductible donation for the businesses to make that contribution to Bright Minds to support the teachers. And so what are the benefits of an externship? We talked a little bit again about that process of staff exposure, student engagement to really inform the future workforce pipeline. I already mentioned that tax deductible donation component, and then really supporting innovative professional learning for our teachers and curriculum with relevant workplace experience. I'm happy we have a pretty small group today, so I'm happy to take questions. And you can, this is my contact information, and Jennifer Van Kirk at Bright Minds as well. But I'm happy to take your questions at this time as well. So feel free to either unmute yourself or, to ask any questions or throw them in the chat.
Thank you, Laurie. And so again, are there any questions currently? And if not, I'll start them. And I'll be watching you can use the reactions down at the bottom, or again, if it's easier for you to just come off mute, you can do so, but probably easier for me to just follow the reactions and so forth. But any questions? So I'll ask the first one then, just maybe to, so Laurie, when do you need to hear from a business in the sense that, yes, we want to move forward, or maybe what's the latest that you need to know something? Kind of talk about maybe the timeline.
Sure. So really in order for us to give you the most time to scope out the potential candidates and find the right match for your organization, we're hoping that businesses can commit to us kind of by the end of February at the latest. And really, we're happy. Typically, the way that it'll work is that if this does sound like an opportunity your organization is interested in, we'll schedule a meeting with myself and Jennifer, who has joined us. So welcome, Jennifer. She's our executive director of the Bright Minds Foundation. And we'll sit down and chat with you either in person or on Zoom, whatever's easiest, to talk about what that externship might look like. And then but really we hope to have those sites committed by the end of February in order to start the matching process in March.
So Laurie, a question that came in through the chat was whether or not the teachers receive the full 6,500. So it says, how much is the company contribution, and is it the full 6,500 that the teachers receive?
I'll let Jennifer answer that, because Bright Minds is our financial.
I mean, the cost of the externship program for us is 70, or for employers is 7,500. It's the extra. The teachers do receive 6,500 of that, and the additional funds covers our program management, program administration, and oversight, monitoring, and evaluation. So for nonprofits, we have had some situations where we've had cost sharing opportunity, or we've reduced the that sort of additional cost. But the key is covering the teacher amount for 6,500. And yes, we do have some additional program management costs as well.
Really, that $6,500 number was reached to, one, be competitive with other summer employment opportunities that our teachers do have, be it summer school or innovative pathways. We wanted to make sure that we were rewarding our teachers based on the amount of expertise, and also ensuring that they would feel bought in to deliver. And so far that model seems to be working. So we're pretty pleased with it.
And then I guess in terms of teachers that participate, I guess, do you end up finding that you have teachers from a cross section of disciplines? Are there ones perhaps that you want to I don't want to necessarily place, I guess, more than others, because maybe as an example, one might be in STEM or what have you, but maybe talk about that. And then Dion, I see you have your hand raised, and I'll come to you in just a second.
Thank you.
So our teachers who are in the pool this year are teachers that are from a couple different content areas. The first is career and technology education teachers. So those are our teachers that, like you mentioned, Leonardo, might be in STEM, computer science, math. I have a math background. So that's the first group that we are pulling from. And for example, we have a CTE teacher with an engineering background who has a Google data analytics certification. So they have a really specific skill set. and some other teachers with some great community outreach and engagement experience. So it really kind of depends on what your host site is looking for. We also open this opportunity to jumpstart dual enrollment teachers. Those are our teachers in the high school building who actually teach college credit bearing courses through our collaboration with Howard County Public Schools with Howard Community College. And then finally, we actually have a couple of our ESOL teachers. So those are our teachers who teach English as a second language. We have a couple of them who are also in the mix as well this year. So definitely a varied group, which is good because it meets the needs of the business community, the varied needs of the business community. And what I'll also say is that a lot of the skills that our teachers have in the classroom are transferable. So if you are an accountant, a math teacher might seem like a great option, but actually we had a business teacher, right, in work in the accounting office last year. So it really just depends on what you're looking for.
And I would just add one thing. It was really sort of delightfully surprising last year to see how a Spanish teacher could be working in a totally different environment, and there was such a and really there was such a high level of value added, even with some teachers that had some sort of non-traditional matching or non-traditional backgrounds. We're still able to bring a lot of sort of interesting perspectives and creativity to the project assignments that they had at the work sites.
Thank you. Dion, you had a question?
Yes, comment and a question. Good morning, everyone. I'm Dion Waldron McNeil from Fulton Bank. I'm the Community Outreach Officer for the bank. And my colleague, Dottie, is on the call with me as well this morning. And when she shared with me the email about this externship, I was excited, and so was she, for the opportunity to work with teachers in this capacity. But my question is, and I will be setting up a separate meeting with all of you just to discuss the details of how we can potentially have a teacher work within the bank during the summer. We do a lot of financial literacy in the community, but I'm just thinking we have like summer telepositions, and I'm not sure if that's going to work because of the training time to be able to train them. But I wanted to know, like, would they be available prior to June to do any type of training, or do we have to start with them once school is out for them to really give us their time?
So a couple of things to just kind of keep in mind is that the way the stipend is designed is really to allow the teachers to participate in a summer work experience. It really is going to depend on the teacher's availability and their home work-life balance. I imagine, for example, if they have small children at home, it might be a little bit more challenging for them to commit to something outside of school hours, or other family obligations, right? Perhaps caring for an elderly parent, anything like that might take up their time outside of the school day. And then when we think about kind of the nature of the work that we want the teacher to do, we definitely want them to be using their skills in a way that is, pretty impactful. And so, kind of hashing out the details of what that position might look like and really what the deliverables are going to be for the teacher so that they can go back and then share that opportunity and information with their students. So I think, it really depends. We have not, yet had a request, to have the teachers available prior to that summer. And really, as long as it meets that 150-hour component and it doesn't exceed that, I can't, for a teacher with the right schedule, that might be something they could work out.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. I'll set up some time with you and our talent acquisition team to see how Fulton can be a partner with this program. So thank you.
Love that. Thank you so much.
So Larry, just going to the question in the chat, and then I'll come to those with the hand raised. And if you could talk about, after the teacher is selected, what are the next steps moving forward regarding the business?
So once the teacher is selected, Sandra, in theory, you already got that job description and you've interviewed. That final step is getting the funds to Bright Minds to cover the cost of hosting the extern. And then the extern starts the work at the schedule that you've agreed on with the extern. So that's really that final step.
Okay. And then there's I can't see the first name. It's just D. Paxton.
It's Dottie Paxton from Fulton Bank. Thank you.
Okay.
I just wanted to piggyback on the time frame that you're looking at. I know you said mid-June to late August, but when did you anticipate the interviews to start, and when do you need a commitment if we're to host one of the teachers?
So I did bring this kind of timeline slide up so that everybody kind of has that, and I'm happy to share the link to this presentation prior to the end of our session today. But really, we are hoping to conclude interviews by the end of March. So we hope to have businesses connect with HCPSS and Bright Minds really no later than the end of February, and commit to potentially hosting. Obviously, we know that potentially hosting is going to be determined on finding the right extern candidate for that position, but we are looking for a commitment by the end of February. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Do we have any other questions? Well, if there are none, Larry, I'm going to ask if you could forward back to the end slide that has your information.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm sorry, we do have a question from, and I'm guessing, I don't know if this is the first name or last name, it just says Tresvani.
Sorry, it's Tracy Resvani. I don't know why it set me up that way.
Okay.
I had been given a wrong meeting ID, so I couldn't get into it until the question and answer session. If I have specific questions about a program idea, who would I run it by to see if it's even a good fit?
So that would be myself and Jennifer, and our emails are on the screen. So you're welcome to reach out to both of us via email, or you can certainly email us and we can set up a time to meet with you to talk about your ideas.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
We'd welcome the opportunity to do so. Welcome the opportunity to have brief follow-up conversations with anyone that might want to kick around some ideas with us.
Okay, and is everyone who signed up going to get a copy of the recording?
Yes, I can make sure of that. The one thing I am noticing, I'm going to actually do this because I'm seeing some names on here that I don't see in our registration list. And so I'm not sure if some are tied to just the schools and Bright Minds. So I guess what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my email in the chat. And so if everyone would just send me an email, that's that way I make sure that I don't miss anybody in the follow-up. And then we can certainly make sure that I guess in terms of presentation, I will defer to Lorraine whether or not she wants to share the PowerPoint, but the recording we can definitely make available. We'll probably have it uploaded to our YouTube channel within the next, I'm gonna say 24, 36 hours.
Yeah, and let me also, oh, sorry, Leonardo, please go ahead.
I was just gonna say there was a question and maybe you could speak to it.
Yes.
From the chat that said, what determines the cost for a nonprofit, since it was mentioned?
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to do. Sandra, that is, so basically Bright Minds has received some grant funding from the CalArt Foundation to help cost share externship costs for nonprofits. The funding that we have would basically cover cost sharing of an extern for 2 nonprofits. And so ultimately what we have is we have maybe a handful of nonprofits that sort of apply to or sort of put forth ideas to be able to have access to that, that cost sharing. Now, of course, they would need to be able to ensure that they could cover. So for example, if it was, 6,500 divided by 2, they would need to be able to have the other half of that. And so we are working with a number of nonprofits trying to determine what would kind of be the best options for those, for teachers and for a match site. And then there is some consideration of the priorities of the CalArt Foundation that provided us with the funding, and kind of what might be highest value in terms of their priorities as well. So I'm sorry, it's not a crystal clear answer, but basically it's almost like a small grant request where nonprofits put forth proposals, and then we're trying to figure out who might be the best match for that. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
I did go ahead and place a link to the presentation in the chat as well, and that should be accessible to anybody who wants to take a look at that. Happy to answer any other questions as well. Leonardo always hits us with the hard questions first to get us warmed up, so.
Yeah.
Well,
Go ahead.
go ahead. I'm sorry, Jennifer.
No, I was just going to say, and obviously, please follow up with an email with any follow-up questions that you might have after this.
Excellent. Well, Laree and Jennifer and others want to thank you all for joining us this morning, and certainly thank you for your interest that's been expressed, and the fact that we may have some new companies participating, and hopefully we'll have some of the same ones from last year come back so we can see continued growth of the program and initiative. And again, as Laree mentioned it, she's placed a link in the chat where you can go and obtain the PowerPoint. We will also make sure we have it on file, as well as also making sure that the video or the recording is available also. And so with that, thank you all again, and look forward to seeing you at future chamber events and programs. So have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Leonardo.
Thank you.
Okay. Have a good day.